Afternoon, a Chula Vista detective is up on the witness stand as we enter day 7 of Larry Millete's preliminary hearing.
Detective Vicente testified he was part of the team of investigators who gathered surveillance video from Millete's neighborhood after Maya disappeared. CBS 8's Kelly Hessedal joins us from the downtown courthouse with what she's learned so far.
That's right, and this detective is the one who was asked to take over what began as a missing persons case because he was told it appeared suspicious. Now, Detective Vicente testified that surveillance video from a Nest camera was obtained from the Millete neighborhood of the Millete home January 8th, 2021, the day after Maya disappeared.
A person walks out of 2413 Paseo Los Gatos, is in and out of the car that's parked in the driveway, which is backed in. The vehicle pulls out onto the street and then backs and repositions the vehicle closer to the house.
And here is the video the detective is referring to. They played it in court this morning. It was taken the morning of January 8th at 6 a.m. You could see the lights flash when somebody hit unlock. The vehicle pulls forward. You see the headlights. The driver then repositions the SUV, backs it in closer to the garage area of the Millete home. Now, at one point, the vehicle is locked. The lights flashed again. And then at 6:43 a.m., the vehicle is unlocked. You hear the beeping noise and the vehicle drives off. Now, detectives say the vehicle doesn't return to the home until 6 p.m. that night. So for 11 hours, it was gone. And we know from court documents that prosecutors believe Larry Millete was the one driving that vehicle, a black SUV. His alibi for that 11 hours cannot be corroborated. He told police he went to Solana Beach with his 4-year-old son for the entire day, but then later pointed on a map to Torrey Pines State Beach. And we also know from court documents that Larry's cell phone was off that entire 11-hour stretch, which was uncharacteristic of him. Detective Vicente also testified that investigators took Larry's iPhone. They downloaded the contents of it at the police department, and that all of the text messages before January 9th between him and Maya had been deleted. Kelly Hessedal, CBS 8.
2201 is back in session.
All right, we're back on the record. Good afternoon. Counsel and the defendant are present. The witness is on the stand. You may continue with your cross-examination.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Detective, did you receive information during the 2021 investigation that you conducted with your team that May Millete would go to Mexico?
No.
When you asked one of the brothers what he thought May would be, did he not tell you that he's probably in Mexico drinking tequila?
Objection. They, that's a rich brother.
Sustained. Again, counsel, the individual and the date.
Oh, I'm sorry. During this time that you spoke to the CJRGP in the early days of your investigation, somewhere between January 11, 2021 and up to the end of January, did one of the brothers tell you that he thought Maya is in Tijuana drinking tequila?
I don't recall getting a statement like that from either one of them.
You looked at some of the footage of the camera near the Millete residence. At any time when you were reviewing those footage, did you see on January the 8th, 2021, did you see if the person that you believe was Mr. Millete, did you see him carrying an object?
No.
When he first left his residence the early morning of January the 8th, 2021, did you notice in the footage of the surveillance video camera whether the garage lights were on?
I could not tell.
Did you also acquire additional surveillance camera to the house right across from Mr. Millete's residence?
Can you be specific as to across the residence? Do you have an address?
Mr. Millete's residence is on Paseo Los Gatos. And Paseo Los Gatos 2413, I believe. Then he has a neighbor, 28, I believe 17 or 2417 at the corner, correct?
Counsel, can you be more specific?
Okay.
He knows where he lives.
Yeah.
You've had quite a lot of time to know the address for every house on that block. You can Google it now if you need to, but please be more specific.
Well, you know, just for the sake of expediency, let me just ask another question. Those two video footage on January the 11th, 2021, I believe, that you reviewed for dates that occurred on January 8th, 2021, did you obtain additional surveillance videos, cameras, or footage anywhere besides those two residences?
Two residences in reference to 338 Calle La Quinta and 2417 Paseo Los Gatos?
Correct.
Yes, we had additional video.
Which homes were they?
We had video from, which day are you referring to? On the 8th?
On January 8, 2021.
Right, this appears to be a question that's designed for discovery purposes. I also assume that whatever video footage the police have obtained, they turned it over to the DA, and the DA has in turn delivered it to you as part of the discovery.
Okay, Larry, thank you. When you were looking at those videos from those two homes, did you find any inconsistencies in the videos for the January 8, 2021 footage that you looked at?
Inconsistencies meaning?
Did you observe any other information that was not contained in the footage on the other house?
No.
Is it fair to say that Miss Millete disappeared mysteriously?
Objection, relevance, A.
No, we can answer. You can give an answer, sir.
I don't think she disappeared mysteriously.
You did not think?
No.
Okay. Why?
I can't believe you asked that. All right, let's hear your answer.
Part of the investigation, we go by the facts. We go by, especially in missing persons cases, as this was early on, we go back to the starting point, where she was last seen and the person who last saw her. And my investigation has continually brought me back to 2413 Paseo Los Gatos and the people who saw her, which includes our defendant.
So at what point did you arrive at that conclusion from your investigation?
Objection, relevance.
I think it's all highly relevant. She's basically asking, why does he believe that your client is responsible and guilty of this offense? That's how I interpreted the question.
Okay,
So-
I'm fine with for the detective to answer.
I have no proof of life for May if she were to leave the house. I spoke to numerous witnesses who had told me that this is not something that she would do. I have no evidence indicating that May was preparing to get away and flee from her family. I do know that Larry and her had an argument that evening of January 7th, is what he told me. And he was the last one to see her. So based on that and the facts that we've gathered throughout this investigation, I believe he's responsible for her disappearance.
When you say he's responsible for her disappearance, are you then implying that he committed murder?
Yes,
You went into Miss Millete's residence and you did not find blood, correct?
correct.
And you went in there, your team went in there as early as the morning of January the 10th of 2021, right?
Yes,
Your team informed you that there was no signs of foul play, correct?
correct.
There was no signs of struggle or fight in the residence.
Correct.
Did they tell you any other way that Miss Millete could have exited her residence on January 7, 2021?
No,
Did they look at the balcony that is attached to her bedroom on January 7, 2021?
Are you asking if our officers looked at that balcony?
Yes.
We observed the balcony, yes.
Did you observe that there was a ladder that was attached to the balcony?
Up to Vegas to time.
Okay, yeah.
This witness was there on the 11th, so are you asking about what he saw on the 11th or what other officers saw when they came a few days earlier?
I clarified the question, Your Honor. On January the 10th, 2021, when the first detectives, photographers, and people from your department arrived at the Millete residence, you believe that they did a thorough search and investigation that particular time?
I'm not sure if you're stating facts, not in evidence. The photographers were there on the 23rd. Were there any photographers on the 11th?
No, that was just patrol.
Alright, so your question states facts, not in
Oh,
evidence.
okay, yeah. Did you or any of your team officers investigate the balcony with the attached ladder
Objection assumes facts not in
on
evidence.
Sustained.
any time from January?
I've sustained.
I'm sorry.
First, you have to establish that he did see a ladder. There was in fact a ladder there.
Wait, let me ask him the first time that he searched the house, because I still don't know when that is, Your Honor.
Sure. He said it, but you can ask again.
So, what date in January 2021 did you go to the Millete residence to investigate the house?
So me and my team were at the Millete residence on January 11th. Patrol officers responded on the 10th.
And yourself, did you, after the patrol officer arrived, did you follow up with your own investigation of the residence?
Yes,
What date was that?
January 11th.
Okay. Did you look into the balcony at that time, January 11, 2021?
I did not personally, but Detective Ruiz and Detective Rosario did a walkthrough of the house while I was speaking to Larry.
When you say walkthrough of the house, would that include the balcony also?
I don't know what areas they walked through, but I know that they walked through the residence looking for clues.
It is also part of your investigation where your team had acquired information that Mr. Milete's father was able to access the house through the balcony, climbing up the ladder. Isn't that right?
I was never told of that information.
There were also other exits inside the house, such as in the first floor. You knew that there are three other doors to exit the house, right?
Yes,
Did you have a camera footage that shows the other exits?
no.
You cannot rule out today from those two other exits whether in fact Ms. Millete used those exits on January 7, 2021.
Yes, but we had good coverage of the front and the main thoroughfare on Calle La Quinta to, if she were to leave the house from the front of those exits, I have no evidence of that.
You also do not have knowledge if Ms. Millete in fact was able to step on structures that were in the backyard to use that to climb over the fence, correct?
She could have climbed over.
You also acquired information from the law offices that Ms. Millete consulted, that Ms. Millete did not want to physically go to their law office because she was afraid of Mr. Millete would follow her.
Objection lacks foundation. Ms. Witness.
Sir, have you spoken with anyone at the law office such that you have personal knowledge to answer that question?
No.
All right. The objection is sustained.
Amongst the 100 or more witnesses that were interviewed by your department, can you tell us how many witnesses did you personally interview?
Personally, I'd probably say approximately 80.
You interviewed Miss Marie Chris Droale.
Yes.
Isn't it true that Miss Droale told you that she did not know where her sister was that evening?
Yes.
At that time, that Miss Droale gave you the information about her sister, you discovered that Mr. and Mrs. Millete were having issues about Miss Millete's affair with another man. You recall that?
All right, is this outside the scope of direct or not?
Well, I mean, I get that. I haven't objected because I think she does have the opportunity to cross-examine to some extent on,
The 80 interviews that he did?
well, no, but I mean, the investigation to an extent, so I mean, I'm not interjecting an objection at this point, but
Okay, you can answer,
I'm sorry, what was the question?
When you were speaking to Miss Droale, she informed you that Miss Millete's problem all started because of the allegation of an affair that she was having.
objection vague and misstates the testimony.
Sustained. Both grounds.
Did Miss Droale tell you that Maya was having an affair?
Yes.
Well, throughout your investigation, you found that Miss Millete wanted to separate from her husband. True?
Yes.
And you also discovered that she had left her residence several times in 2020.
Objection lacks foundation.
Well, it's actually kind of vague.
Okay.
She went to work or the park, she's leaving her residence. So,
Jurist, isn't during your investigation, was it part of your findings that Miss Millete would leave her house without her husband's knowledge?
Yes.
because you examined and investigated this case thoroughly, can you describe, based on your investigation, describe the lifestyle that Ms. Millete had in 2020?
Objection, vague, calls for hearsay, relevance, beyond scope.
Sustained is beyond the scope of this witness's testimony. And it's vague, if you can.
And I would say it also calls for hearsay. I understand that she can elicit hearsay through the detective under Prop 115, but there has to be some sort of specific representation of where that information came
So
Let me just ask a fresh question, Yana.
that's why the vagueness is one of the stronger grounds for its legal question.
Mr. Millete told you that his wife was going crazy.
Yes.
And that's the reason why he was trying to take care of her and be more vigilant in the year 2020, correct?
Yes.
And he was trying to appease her by buying her this Jeep Cherokee that we have seen on the surveillance camera that you described, correct?
The Jeep Rubicon?
Excuse me?
Yes, her Jeep Rubicon.
So he also allowed her to be more free as far as her schedule.
Objection, lacks foundation, calls for speculation. If counsel's asking what the defendant told the detective, that's one thing. But to state these as facts is a different thing.
Sustained, you can rephrase.
Okay, thank you, Anna.
So, you can ask if Mr. Millete told him a certain thing.
What did Mr. Millete do? What did Mr. Millete tell you what he did for his wife in 2020
Objection, vague.
to keep her happy?
He had bought her material things. He allowed her to go out with her friends. I'm not sure exactly what else you're looking for.
He allowed her to spend extravagantly, right?
Objection, lack of foundation, calls for speculation.
Alright. I'll sustain on the vagueness, and again, if the question is, did your client tell him that bit of information, you can phrase your question in that manner.
Did Mr. Millete tell you that Miss Millete was spending on clothes, shoes, travels?
I'm not sure on which occasion you're referring to when I spoke to Larry. Do you know which day that is, or can you refer to me in my report where I reference that?
Okay. Now, Larry told you that during this 2020, Miss Millete refused to eat with him and the kids.
I don't recall. If you have that in my report, can you direct me to it so I can refresh my memory on that statement?
Okay, well, I'll go into that later. Now, do you recall that Mr. Millete said to you that Miss Millete and Mr. Millete are no longer sleeping in the same bedroom in 2020?
I don't recall that.
But you recall that Miss Millete left her home in May of 2020.
Yes,
And she was separated from Mr. Millete at that time.
correct.
Did you investigate what Miss Millete did during that period of time of separation from Mr. Millete from May to June of 2020?
Objection, relevance?
I'll go with vagueness. Sustain, can be more specific.
Your Honor, we're now trying to track.
Just make it a more specific
Okay, I'll
question.
do that.
Very open-ended. Did you investigate what Ms. Millete did during that period of time of separation?
Did you, detective, investigate Ms. Millete's activities during that separation of May 2020 until June of 2020?
Yes.
What did you discover?
Well, we have statements from Larry who told me that she had moved out with her brother, and that they were separated. We also collected social media records, which indicate her patterns during that time as well.
Anything else?
No.
Did you discover that Ms. Millete was meeting another person or another man during that period of time?
Yes.
Tell us about what you found out during that period of time.
Objection, vague, lack of foundation.
Overruled.
And hearsay, basically. The lack of foundation and hearsay. I don't know where is this information coming?
I'll make my ruling as I hear it, and you can renew your objection, but you can answer.
Sorry, what was the question?
What did you discover, or what was the result of your investigation during that period of time from May 2020 to June 2020?
Right, that is vague.
Okay.
If you're asking exactly what it is you discovered, then maybe you need to put that in the question.
All right. Now, you testified that you discovered that Ms. Millete was seeing this other man during that period of time from May 2020 until June 2020. I was asking for you to please tell us what you discovered at that time.
Objection, vague as to that time, vague as to discovered.
Do you understand the question?
From my recollection, during that time, Larry and May were separated, and they eventually came back together in June.
The objection overruled.
Did you receive information that Ms. Millete was seeing another man during the time that she was separated from Mr. Millete, the period of May 2020 and June 2020.
Can you rephrase, please?
Can I just have the question repeated?
Sure.
Question. Did you receive information that Miss Millete was seeing another man during the time that she was separated from Mr. Millete, the period of May 2020 and June 2020?
I'm not sure.
Not sure if she found that out or not sure if she's seeing another person.
I'm not sure if I had the information confirming that she was having the affair at that time.
After June of 2020, after Miss Millete moved back to her residence, did you receive information or do you have personal knowledge that Miss Millete continued to see this other man?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence, misstates testimony.
All right. Counsel, what's your response?
Your Honor, it is relevant to the fact that Miss Millete is missing. Who knows whether she's, eloped or hidden somewhere. Who knows if this man and her are still meeting today. I just want to explore the extent of this investigation to shed light for and elicit reasons for why she would want to leave.
All right. Overruled. You can answer.
May I be heard?
Yes, you started.
My objection was, the question said that she was continuing to have the affair. The detective said he did not know at that time whether or not he had confirmed that during that time she was having an affair. It just misstates the question. I am not objecting to the relevance of it. I object to the form of that question.
Well, she said continue to see this other person.
Correct. And the detective said he said he did not know whether or not she was seeing him at that time. So my objection is that it misstates the testimony of this witness for question. I don't object to the relevance of the question.
I think she asked after the May-June period if he continued if he had evidence that they were continuing to meet.
I understand, and I think my objection is that he never confirmed that he knew them to be meeting in the first place.
Okay, all right. Rephrase and just ask if you received any information that they were meeting, that there was a person she was meeting with after June 2022.
No.
You also receive information wherein it is clear in this problem that you heard between Mr. and Miss Millete that Maya kept repeating she wanted to be left alone.
Yes.
And Mr. Millete told you that if he questioned her about her whereabouts or where she's going, she would be so mad at him, so he stopped questioning her. Correct?
Yes.
Mr. Millete also told you that even though he found out and discovered Miss Millete's affair, he forgave her.
Correct.
And that he would do anything to keep his wife living with him and the children.
Yes.
that if further he told you if he would lose his wife, he would like to die.
I don't remember getting that statement from him.
And he told you that Miss Millete locked herself in her bedroom and he would bring food upstairs so Miss Millete could eat.
He told me about her being locked in the room. He didn't mention about the food. He mentioned he had to break through the door to conduct a welfare check for her to make sure she was okay.
He told you that after Miss Millete came back to their home sometime in July of 2020, Miss Millete was bleeding profusely and Mr. Millete took her to the emergency room.
Correct.
And in fact, Mr. Millete told you Miss Millete wanted space and he gave her what she wanted.
To a certain extent.
And Mr. Millete also, during your investigation, told you he did not want to talk bad about Miss Millete to anyone.
Correct. But he also disclosed the affair to his family, to her family.
Right, and he did that because he was seeking their help to keep their marriage together, correct?
Yes.
You were able to examine and looked at the finances of Mr. and Mrs. Millete.
Yes.
And you confirmed that Miss Millete had a separate bank account, correct?
She had her own account that he did not have access to.
Correct, is that right?
Yes.
And that Mr. Millete was the one paying all their bills.
I don't recall him saying that.
And you also found out that Mr. Millete was a good steward of their money.
I would agree with that.
In fact, during your interviews with Miss Millete's family, none of those witnesses have ever seen Mr. Millete hurt Maya Millete.
Correct.
And each of her own family kept repeating that Mr. Millete just keeps saying, I love Maya very, very much.
Yes.
And they all believe that.
If they all love, is the question that they all loved Maya?
No. That Mr. Millete would repeatedly tell Maya's family that he, Mr. Millete, loved Maya very, very much and he would not hurt her.
Correct.
Were you part of the team who examined the Jeep Cherokee after,
What's misstating the testimony?
okay.
You said Wrangler, he said Rubicon, we heard Cherokee. I was looking in the picture to figure out what it is again. What's the model?
It's a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon.
Okay, all right. You can ask your question. We just-
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
It's a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon.
So it's Jeep Rubicon, I think. Okay, so did your team examine the Jeep Rubicon during your investigation in 2020?
Yes.
Did you find any evidence of anything that would support your theory that Mr. Millete caused Ms. Millete's disappearance?
No.
In that vehicle. And I just interjected that because she started with the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. So the question, as I see it, is, did you find any evidence of note to your investigation tying it to any criminal act by the defendant while searching the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon?
No, I did not.
Mr. Millete used the Lexus 460 to go to the beach on January the 8th, 2021.
Yes, that's what he told me.
Okay. And Mr. Millete told you that he left early with his son Lazarus that day, that morning, because Miss Millete was angry that she was not able to do work the day before because their son is bothering her. You recall that?
Yes.
So he got up early on January the 8th, 2021, and he told you he packed 2 ice boxes, some food, snacks, drinks, and a bed cot in the Lexus and proceeded to go to the beach, correct?
Yes.
And he told you that he exited in Solana Beach, or he was going to Solana Beach because he thought the beach where he was, they always called it Solana Beach, even though it is La Jolla Beach. You remember that?
Uh,
Can you tell us about the explanation he told you? Why he called it Solana Beach?
So he told me that he had taken Lazarus to Solana Beach. Later in the interview, he had pointed out Torrey Pines State Beach on the map.
Okay. And he told you he always considered that area as what?
He said that Torrey Pines, he would always call that Solana Beach.
Right. And that's how he remembered that name, Solana Beach. And now, during the investigation, after Mr. Millete came back home in the afternoon of January 8, 2021, were you participating in that investigation, or someone else from your team did the investigation?
Okay, Counsel, that's vague.
Okay.
Can you rephrase? I'm not sure. I think you can ask the question. It's just a little bit
Okay,
disjointed as to the sequence.
that's a bad question then. You know, he came home in the afternoon of January the 8th, 2021, right?
Yes.
And he also talked to a neighbor that afternoon about detailing the Lexus.
Objection vague as to what that afternoon, what afternoon we're talking about.
We're talking about January 8, 2020.
That's what I thought.
He didn't talk to a neighbor on January 8th.
Okay. In the afternoon?
No.
No? Now you know during your investigation, you know that Mr. Millete told you that he's got this habit of cleaning and cleaning, correct?
Yes.
And he also had a habit of parking his vehicles backing up into the garage.
Correct.
And that's what we saw on the videos, that when he left on January the 8th, before he left, he backed it into the garage because that's his habit. Then when he came back in the afternoon, he did the same thing. He parked his vehicle backing up into the garage. That's what you observed while you were reviewing the footage, correct?
Correct. But I found it suspicious that he would pull his car out and reposition it just to load a cooler of snacks.
The reason why you were suspicious was because you did not know at that time that that was his habit, correct?
I didn't know that was his habit till then.
Right.
If I'm correct, he didn't change it from being parked head end to backing in. It was always backed in. Isn't that correct in the video?
Correct.
So it was already parked back then, he drove out, and then he drove back without turning the vehicle around, correct?
Correct. And it was a few feet closer to the garage.
Just a few feet into the garage, but most of the vehicle was still exposed outside the garage.
Correct.
And in your investigation, did you give any significant meaning for the Millete children to be out in their backyard the evening of January 7, 2021?
I obtained a statement from the neighbor who provided us with that audio from 2385 Plaza Eva,
Yes.
and she told me that it was odd for her to hear the children late that night. One, because it was cold, and two, because it was a school night.
When you spoke to Mr. Millete and others in his family, did they tell you that the children did play outside in their backyard even late in the evening?
I didn't get that information.
You observed the backyard of the Millete residence during that time of your investigation, that it had a lot of children's playthings and, can you describe their backyard?
Yeah, their backyard had hardscape in the backyard. There were places for kids to play in back there. Yeah, it could be an area used by children to play outside.
Isn't it true that you spoke to Mr. Millete's daughter, Lara Millete, during your investigation, wherein she told you that she heard her mother, May, on January the 8th, 2021, inside their home?
That's correct.
You also asked the same question to the other daughter, Larry Millete, during this investigation, and she told you the same thing, correct?
I did not speak to Meilani.
You also discovered during the same time frame that Maya usually go for a hike alone.
According to Larry, that's what he told me.
And that Larry said to you that sometimes she would go hiking very early in the morning, correct?
Correct.
Sometimes she would go hiking the whole day and doesn't return. Larry told you that, right?
Yes.
And that there was an incident where she met a man that she became scared while hiking in the San Miguel Ranch area. You recall that?
I don't recall that incident.
And the several times that you spoke to Mr. Millete, he was always cooperative with you by answering your questions, correct?
To a certain extent, yes.
And he even voluntarily went to the Chula Vista Police Department and gave some additional information to the officers.
Correct.
In fact, Mr. Millete, was the one who voluntarily told you who amongst their neighbors would have cameras in their homes during the time that you were there asking him information.
Yes.
He even gave you the names of the neighbors so that you could go and talk to those people.
Correct.
You obviously also looked into the lifestyle of Miss Millete during this investigation, right?
Yes.
What can you tell us about Miss Millete's lifestyle that you discovered during this investigation?
I know she was dedicated to her career and her family.
Anything else? Lifestyle? Wise?
I'm not sure.
So you told us about her work style. How about her social lifestyle?
She had a lot of friends, and she liked to go out and be with them.
And where did they go with the friends?
They would go wine tasting, hang out, go to hikes, go to other people's houses. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Isn't it true that Mr. Millete told you that Maya would go out to the bars and drink, and that she would not come home until 2:30 to 3:30 in the morning? You remember Mr. Millete telling you that?
He told me that he didn't like her drinking.
And in fact, Mr. Millete told you she became so drunk she can't drive home, that she would call him so he can pick her up.
It's a variation of a statement that he had provided to me.
So what did Mr. Millete tell you regarding Miss Millete's drunkenness?
Objection, argumentative, the state's testimony.
Sustained. The statement the witness has given, his recollection is the defendant didn't like her drinking. That's what's in evidence.
Okay. Well, Mr. Millete told you that Maya returned home, the latest was 3:30 a.m. Do you recall that?
I don't recall. If it's in my report, can you direct me to where that is?
When you interviewed him, was everything being recorded out of body-worn camera?
Some was body-worn camera. I talked to him on multiple occasions, so body-worn camera initially. There was a station interview, and then there was also several phone conversations that were also recorded, just audio only.
Is it fair to say that virtually every conversation you had with him has been recorded?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so that can be referenced, the conversations.
Okay.
That's my question.
Oh, can they be? Yes.
When it comes to telephones and Instagrams and Facebook, isn't it true that you discovered that Miss Millete had many websites?
Many websites, or I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, during your investigation, what did you discover about Miss Millete's telephone system or passcodes? Did you do that?
I know she had multiple social media accounts. She has multiple email addresses.
Tell us about the multiple media accounts.
All right, now it sounds to me as if this is aimed at just discovery. It's outside the scope of direct. If you want to give me an offer of proof as to the relevance, if you think on some account it has evidence of her making plans to disappear, that might be relevant, but just simply throwing out that question.
It is related, Your Honor, to the fact that
Talking to the microphone so I can hear you.
I'm sorry, that Miss Millete did in fact have multiple accounts, social media accounts, Instagram,
Okay,
Facebook.
all right,
Okay.
then you can ask him about that. I just want to know where you're going, and then if you want to ask him if he checked those accounts for any evidence of her making plans to
Yes.
disappear, that's relevant, and I'll allow it.
I'm just
want
trying
some
to
focus to it.
I was trying to lay the foundation, Your Honor, but okay, so can you tell us about Miss Millete's media accounts, Facebook?
Yes, she had a Facebook account and 2 other Instagram accounts.
And you were able to view some of those messages and communication she had with other people during your investigation?
Yes.
Can you just describe the extent of the activities that you performed in order to investigate that area?
Objection vague.
Do you understand the question?
Is she asking how I got the social media accounts?
No, it's vague. I think she wants to know when you were looking at the accounts, did you find anything relevant to your investigation? I think that's where it's headed, and that's what I will allow.
She was messages from Facebook indicate that she was not happy in her marriage. She was preparing for divorce, and she was taking the steps to leave Larry.
Did you find out that she was also planning to leave Larry and the kids?
She didn't mention the kids, she just mentioned Larry.
You had an opportunity to look at some of those message that May had with her close friends, right?
Yes.
And she shared some private details of her desire to leave Larry.
Yes.
So what did you discover when you looked and listened and interviewed some of those witnesses regarding her plan to leave Larry?
Objection vague and calls for a narrative.
Sustained. We've heard from most of her friends, and we've got evidence of from her close circle of friends. So I don't see the relevance in asking this witness the same questions that I heard from the live witnesses. So if you have something specific that you want to focus on from those individuals, that's fine. But I don't need him to tell me what her besties who testified have already told me.
Is it part of your findings during this investigation that Ms. Millete wanted to run away from Mr. Millete?
Not run away per se, but to divorce them.
Did you also hear from witnesses that stated that she wanted to separate from him and find her own place?
Yes.
Did you also discover during your investigation that Ms. Millete was not happy with her in-laws
Yes.
and she wanted them also to go away?
I know that they did end up leaving the house.
And that after the in-laws left, Ms. Millete and Mr. Millete had arguments regarding babysitting.
Correct.
Did you understand why they were arguing about babysitting?
Objection calls for hearsay, lack of foundation.
Sustained.
Did Mr. Millete tell you?
Well, actually, no, it's not. There's probably a hearsay exception.
Yes, I just think it's vague as to where the basis of this information is coming from the detective.
Sustained, you can rephrase your question.
Okay. During your interview with Mr. Millete, he revealed to you that they had an argument on or about the first week of January 2021 regarding babysitting.
Yes.
What did Mr. Millete tell you about the argument regarding babysitting?
I know that May was trying to make arrangements with her parents for babysitting, and Larry canceled that appointment to have May's parents come in and watch the kids that week of January.
And that you discovered that May got angry because Larry canceled the babysitting schedule?
Yes, because Larry volunteered his aunt to watch the kids.
And May did not like the aunt to babysit.
I don't think it's that she did not like her. I think she wanted her dad to watch the children that week.
Did you discover that May's father refused to babysit the children after Mr. Millete canceled his babysitting schedule?
He did not say that.
You also receive information from Mr. Millete that after 10 years of his parents raising and taking care of their children, Ms. Millete asked for space. Correct?
Counsel,
Yeah.
I don't see the relevance of this.
I-
It's two parents.
I just
We-
read it to
we've
another
covered-
person.
We've covered the request for space, we've covered any type of animosity with the in-laws. You need to move on.
I'm just reading to another scenario, Your Honor. Isn't it true that Mr. Millete, no matter how he loved his parents, told his parents to leave so that Miss Millete would have space?
Objection called for hearsay.
It's not hearsay, Your Honor. He told him that. 11. Right.
Live closer to the brother in Texas.
And Mr. Millete was sacrificing everything to make his wife happy.
I'm not sure if that was a sacrifice for them leaving or if they wanted to leave to be with their other son.
Now, part of your investigation reveals that after Mr. Millete's parents left for Texas, Maya Millete could not perform his duties for the children.
Not performing duties for the children,
Taking
meaning
them to school, picking them up, cooking, cleaning.
during that time it was virtual school, so the kids were at home. And that was also another part of why they were arguing, because the kids were at home and she couldn't get any work done.
Hey, counsel, do you have another area of inquiry regarding anything that this witness testified on during his direct examination?
Okay.
I've heard enough about the dynamics. I think it's just
Let me
getting
start.
into an exercise in fishing and looking for discovery.
Let me just sum up where I'm going, why I'm asking this one. I'm just gonna ask a few more questions and it should be done. Isn't it true, Detective, that Miss Millete in 2020 was having so much difficulties in her life that she wanted to escape and go away and hide?
Well, he doesn't have the foundation to answer that question. What's your objection?
Would object to lack of foundation, but
And I'll sustain it, and it's speculative. He can't tell us what she was thinking in that regard. He can tell us if she made a statement to someone, that's admissible, but I'm not going to let him opine as to how she felt about her life at that time.
During 2020, your investigation, first, you discovered Mr. and Mrs. Millete were having serious marital problems, correct?
asked an answer.
Well,
You can answer. I take it it's leading somewhere. Go on. You can answer. Yes.
Yes.
and there was no way that they were going to reconcile again.
Correct.
You also discovered, second, Miss Millete was having problems at her old job, Swarmac, because of the investigation
Objection, Vegas.
of investigation of the allegation that she was having an affair with a subordinate. And there was accusation of violation of vacation and reimbursement for overtime money. Correct?
That's compound. I won't allow it.
Third, she got humiliated and shamed because of the investigation. She could no longer stay at Swarmac, so she accepted a lower position at NIWC.
Objection, argumentative.
It is, and this witness is not qualified to testify as to those matters. I've heard from her two bosses, and I've heard from family members in that regard. He's not the person to ask that question.
Let me just move on, Your Honor. I'm just going to move on. And on January 7, 2021, when Ms. Millete discovered that her husband was going to reopen this investigation, that she could lose her job, that was the breaking point, and she decided to leave.
Objection, argumentative.
It is, and it's argumentative, and this witness lacks the foundation to give a response to that.
Did you discover that Ms. Millete became very, very afraid because Mr. Millete was going to reopen the investigation against her at work?
Objection calls for speculation.
It does, and if there's someone that he spoke to that you want to reference that question to, then that's fine, but I've heard from the witnesses, and I don't think that this officer should be the one who's giving an opinion about those work-related issues. If there's a person we want to talk about who he has a statement from, that's fine, but I don't want him to draw any generalized conclusions about that.
And officer, you read the chat between Ms. Millete and her friends in 2020. In fact, January, I believe 7, 2020, or thereabouts that week.
Okay, again, counsel, this appears to be facts that are in evidence. I've heard from those witnesses. You had a chance to actually cross-examine witnesses from work and people who had certain text messages, and it's going to be offered into evidence. I don't want you asking him questions that are drawing conclusions. That's argument. It's argumentative, and there's no basis for you asking this witness those questions.
I will withdraw the question, Your Honor. When you were investigating this case, Tom, detective, you received information that may commonly hiked at Mother Miguel Mountain,
Correct.
and that you discovered that she would go alone
Per Larry, yes.
or with someone, but mostly alone, right?
I don't know how many times she went by herself.
And in fact, that's what Mr. Millete was telling you when you questioned him regarding where he thought his wife could be. And he told you she probably went hiking.
Correct.
first spoke to Mary Chris Rowley, she told you, excuse me, that her sister went missing on January 9, 2021 and left sometime Saturday, January 9, 2021 with her identification card, a credit card, and her cell phone. You recall that?
Objection, calls for hearsay.
Well, we spoke to her, isn't that a Prop 115 exception?
Except that I believe the basis of that statement to Detective Vicente was hearsay to Mari Chris.
Okay, all right, so it's double hearsay. Would also appear, I don't know if there's foundation for that, so how, I don't think Mary Chris would know what she had in her possession on that day. Sustained. And counsel, unless you're going to impeach a prior statement, a statement that would, hold on, I'm talking.
That's what I was.
Unless you're going to impeach a statement that a witness has made on the stand with a prior inconsistent statement, I don't want you asking him what everyone who's testified has previously said. We're not gonna just keep going over and over the same testimony unless you can point to something that is inconsistent and therefore relevant.
I'm just using it for impeachment purposes, Your Honor, because there was a change in Miss Jolene's testimony. In fact, she first said the 8th, and then she changed it to 7th, and now she told the detective it's on the 9th.
I disagree.
Regardless, is the statement still a hearsay statement? Whatever Ms. Roulet is talking about, that's the hearsay.
My understanding that the statement that the defense is attempting to elicit that Mari Chris gave to the detective is based on hearsay.
Whether it's the 8th or the 9th.
Correct. And it's also my recollection that Mari Chris consistently testified that she did not talk to her sister on the 8th. So there was a mistake in the report that the officer then clarified based on his review of the BWC. So it wouldn't be an inconsistent statement, even if it wasn't hearsay.
Is it this officer who made the mistake?
No, it was Officer Culver who testified that he reviewed the BWC.
Okay, so I remember, so.
Yes.
No need to even ask this officer.
Correct.
Okay, it's not relevant, and it's based on hearsay.
You also knew after Miss Millete disappeared that some people in the community was threatening Mr. Millete, correct?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Your Honor, this explains why he's not joining the searches.
He was sending me text messages to my desk line, which I never received. So a lot of those messages that he initially told me that he had when I spoke to him later, I never got those messages.
Detective, there was a husband and wife, if you recall. After Miss Millete went missing, there's a couple who reported and called your office regarding the fact that they saw Maya in Las Vegas at the Plaza Hotel. You recall that?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
That was a tip that came in, and I had called the Plaza Hotel. I spoke to security to try and obtain security footage. I even had the hotel, I provided them with the missing person flyer, and I asked security to review their cameras, distribute it out to surrounding hotels, and they were not able to verify if that was May or not.
Can you tell me when this occurred? When the tip came in and when you did this investigation?
Can I refer to my report?
Yes, please. How many more witnesses do you have?
4.
Who are they?
Detective Ruiz, District Attorney Investigator Matt Brinley, Peter Milliver from the DA's office, and my investigator, James.
We're breaking 3:15. Or 15. Court ordinance.
The tip came in on February 10th, 2021.
And there was a husband and wife who saw this woman and talked to her while they were at the Plaza Hotel in Las Vegas, correct?
Yes.
And when they saw this woman that looked like she was drunk, and the security officer of the hotel was escorting her out of the lobby, they felt sorry for this woman and approached her to offer their help. Recall that?
Yes.
This woman then asked them to call a number for her that started with an area code of 619. And before they could dial the complete number, a man approached the woman and told the couple that she is with him. Is that right?
Yes.
And they left rapidly. Now, the couple were suspicious because they told your office that this woman was very beautiful and this man.
Counsel's testifying. Is there a question?
Yeah, I was wondering. Sentence back. All right. According to your tip, so staying for narrative. According to your tip, this couple in Vegas received a phone number, the 619 area code from this woman. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's what they reported.
Correct.
And then, as they were, before they had the complete number, a man approached them and told the couple that she was with him.
Correct. And then they left together.
Next question.
Because the man and the couple were suspicious, they called the police, Chula Vista Police Department, and gave that story. And your officers said, "Can you give us the 619 number?" And he said,
Counsel, let's break it up. Let's break it up into
Okay.
chunks so that Otherwise, it's becoming narrative and vague.
What happened after the couple contacted your office and told you the story about the 619 number?
They called our office. It got forwarded to me. I spoke with the hotel's security staff directly, and I was not able to confirm if that was May or not. That couple went back home. There was a time delay from when she was seen and when they called police, because they saw the news article in Hawaii. So they called us just in the off chance that might be May. But I have no evidence indicating that was her. And no one else, I didn't receive any other tips from any of the hotels in the area or from the security staff.
Did you have an opportunity to send this couple a photograph of May?
I did not, but they saw the news article with her photo on the news.
Did you have a chance to tell them that May had a tattoo on her wrist?
I don't recall asking that question.
And is it true that the couple stated that they were going to try to look for the 61 number and they were going to call your office back with it?
Objection, they, as to referring to them as they and what they said. Who?
Overruled, but he's referring to the couple. You can answer. And I'm redirect, you may inquire to whatever details have been left out.
So no phone number was provided. He said he was going to look for the phone number, and he never provided it to me.
Did your office follow up to call this couple?
No, not after that.
During this period of time of your investigation, you also received a ransom demand
Okay,
for May Millete.
we're going to stop this, and then we can talk about the ransom demand after a break.
Thank you.
3:15, we're resuming,
Okay.
we'll let after 3:30.
You're still driving, you're driving Sequoia.
So she said 4 more witnesses, and then the judge said
And if it's your stream, then it's your issue. It's
That
not.
message is not.
We're not
from
streaming,
our-
so. Who's it from?
I don't know. I don't have a name next to it. Was it Jay? Was it Jay's? Aren't you guys getting the same message?
If someone connected to a Dejero is the only way. A camera
Oh,
connected
Gerald,
to a
there's a
Dejero.
camera in the hall somewhere with audio getting picked up on the stream. Who said that?
Whose stream?
Gerald said that.
What's Gerald?
station? Who's Gerald?
Argo. He left. Who's stream?
I just texted it.
I don't have an audio
camera
source.
is on.
I don't
Right.
have anything that has.
So everyone's camera is switched to.
Mine was off a second. But yeah, as soon as they come up,
There's black on that.
We have no way of
Yeah.
doing audio through that.
yeah.
Council has agreed to allow us to take a witness out of order due to some scheduling concerns. So at this time, the people would call Detective Lorenzo Roman Ruiz.
You may.
Thank you.
Do you solemnly state in the penalty of perjury that the testimony provided in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Can you please state your full name and spell your last name for the record?
Lorenzo Ruiz, last name is spelled R-U-I-Z.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Detective Ruiz, where do you work?
I'm currently employed as a peace officer with the city of Chula Vista.
How long have you been, and is that with the Chula Vista Police Department?
That's correct.
How long have you been a police officer?
For approximately 14 years.
What is your current assignment?
Currently assigned as a sergeant with the patrol division.
What was your assignment in January of 2021?
At that time, I was assigned as a detective with the Crimes of Violence Unit.
Were you part of the team assigned to work on a case involving Larry Millete?
I was.
As part of that investigation, on January 12th, 2021, and then again on January 22nd, 2021, did you follow up with a company called Uber?
I did.
What was the purpose of that?
To see if any pickups had happened within the area of Larry and May's residence.
And were there any?
No.
On January 13th, did you follow up with a representative of Navy Federal?
You know, I'm sorry, you moved so quickly with that. Okay. What's the time period that you checked again?
Detective, what was the time period that you checked for with Uber?
So for Uber specifically, and I can give you the exact date range if I refer to my report.
Yes, go ahead.
Would have been on January the 7th, 2021 at 5 p.m. to January the 8th at 9 in the morning.
And then did you call them again or check with them again on January 22nd to expand that time frame?
I did.
And how did you expand that time frame?
Give me 1 second. So on January the 13th, I contacted Uber. So on January the 8th, 2021, from 10 o'clock to the following day, which would have been on the 9th at 10 in the morning.
All right, so you contacted Uber the second time on January 13th, correct?
That is correct.
And what's the range?
That was misstated in the testimony. I think there was, the first follow-up was January 13th. I'm sorry. The first was February 13th, and the second was February, I'm sorry.
January
The
the 13th.
first was January 13th, the second was January 22nd, 2021. Between the two, can you give us a time frame that you...
Correct. So the second one would have been the expanded time. That would have been January the 7th, 2021 at 5 o'clock till January the 8th at 9 in the morning.
That was the second inquiry.
That was the second inquiry. The first inquiry that happened, the time frame was shorter.
That was between the dates of January 8th at 8 p.m. through January 9th at 10.
That is correct.
But in that follow-up, there was no indication of any pickup at the residence, the Millete residence.
In neither follow-up, correct.
And on January 13th, did you follow up with Navy Federal Credit Union?
I did.
What was the purpose of that?
To see if any of, or specifically the Navy Federal debit card was utilized by May.
And had it been?
It had not.
On January 19th, did you follow up with Immigration and Customs?
I did.
For what purpose?
To see if any of the Millete vehicles had passed any of the Border Patrol checkpoints or port of entries.
How
The only date that we had was January the 4th, 2021 at the Campo checkpoint.
Okay. And isn't it accurate that it was actually January 3rd with the Eastern Standard Time conversion or the timing?
That sounds about correct. The information that was provided to me was that specific time of January the 4th, but typically they do in fact provide Eastern Standard Time.
Do you recall what time it was that that checkpoint?
At exact time, I could not.
Okay. But that was the Campo Border Patrol checkpoint?
Correct.
Did you also assist in a search warrant executed January 23rd, 2021 at 2413 Paseo Los Gatos?
I did.
Did your team take possession of certain evidence at that time?
We did.
And take photos of certain pieces of evidence?
We did.
I'm going to direct your attention, and Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
To direct him to Court's Exhibit 20. Looking at Court's Exhibit 20, specifically 20-1, you recognize what we see in that photograph?
I do.
And I'm going to project up on the screen 20-1. It appears to be some handwritten notes on a piece of paper. Down below it says search warrant January 23rd, 2021. Who is Garber, the source?
Garber's our forensic specialist that took care of the evidence collection and documentation at the scene.
And where was this particular handwritten note found?
It was located within a folder on a shelf inside the master bedroom of the Millete residence.
And just to, I'm going to blow that up slightly, but at the top, can you read what the notes say?
Yes, there are notations for Broaden Law Firm. I presume these were written by May. These were in regards to a conversation that she had with a Destiny Johnson to actually provide or seek assistance with a divorce that following weekend. Or excuse me, that following week.
Thank you. Looking at 20-2, do you recognize what we see in this photograph?
I do.
What is this?
This is a handwritten letter, excuse me, written by May. This was located inside of a bookshelf inside the master bedroom.
He just said it by May. But how does he know that? I'm sorry.
May's name is on the bottom of the letter.
And is there a date at the top?
There is. It's August 27th, 2020.
Okay. And could you read for us the letter?
I could. So, August 27th, 2020. Dear Larry, you are right. I am not
I remember my court reporter.
Oh, I apologize.
He got it.
Okay. Dear Larry, you are right. I am not myself anymore. I've turned into this bitter, angry person who was careless with her words. But this is what our marriage has turned me into, and I hate it. I hate that you get so angry all the time, and you find and you speak so righteously while I speak so bitterly. You want to keep trying, but each time I'm outside the house and not within your view, we are fighting. It's unhealthy. It's toxic. We need to change. But with the kids in mind, I want to be happy, and happy is not with you. We cannot be doing the same thing expecting the same results. I've been gone mentally and emotionally for a very long time, which you failed to notice, and I found the strength to initiate physically leaving. I read this and I thought maybe you'd consider it. The ego says once everything falls into place, I'll find peace. The spirit says find peace and everything will fall into place. Let me find my peace. I cannot find it with you, Maya.
Looking at 20-3 and 20-4, do you recognize what is shown in those two photographs?
I do.
What is that?
This is a safe that was located downstairs of the Millete residence. Specifically, the photo 20-3 is the interior photo of that safe. Specifically, there's an AR-15 and it looks to be a shotgun inside the safe.
And 20-4 is another photo of that same firearm?
That's correct.
And that was found on January 23rd, 2021.
Correct.
Looking at, skip ahead to 20-7. And before I project that, let me ask you this. Did you and your team, were certain electronics and devices taken from the house on January 23rd?
They were.
And did you, and then was a search warrant obtained subsequent to examine or forensically download those devices?
That's correct.
Did you analyze a download of a MacBook computer that was seized from the house on January 23rd?
I did.
Did you also examine the forensic download of an HP laptop computer that was seized from the desk in the master bedroom?
I did.
Did you determine through your review the primary user of the MacBook?
I did.
And who was that?
Larry.
Did you determine through your review who the primary user of the HP laptop was?
I did.
Who was that?
May.
Showing you, first of all, looking at Courts Exhibit 20-7, do you recognize what we see in, well, what we will see soon, what's in that photograph?
I do.
Okay. When you examined the HP laptop computer, how did you go about kind of capturing certain things that you found were of evidentiary value?
So I utilized a snippet tool and I essentially took a screenshot of whatever I was viewing on the computer.
Did you do that for several things that you located on that computer?
I did.
Okay. And so is 20-7 just one of several things that you found that were of evidentiary value?
Correct.
Projecting up on the screen then 20-7, what do you, what can you tell us about this screenshot or this screen capture? What was it about it that was of evidentiary value to you?
So these are Google searches that I found on May's HP laptop, specifically the Google search of manhandling a wife, physical abuse, and then can I track an iPhone if it's on airplane mode? These are all things of significance to myself.
And what were the dates and times, just kind of time frame?
Sure. So is manhandling a wife physical abuse? That's on August the 11th, 2020. Can you track an iPhone if it's on airplane mode? That would be on August the 12th, 2020.
And then there was another search in the middle?
Yeah, so physical abuse manifesting years after a marriage. I apologize. Physical abuse manifesting years after in a marriage. That was searched on August the 11th, 2020.
Thank you. And then you also said that you examined the MacBook computer. Did you kind of utilize the same methods when you analyzed the MacBook and take screenshots or screen captures of certain things you found of evidentiary value?
That's correct.
And again, did you find kind of multiple things that were of evidentiary value to you?
I did.
Okay. And of those, do you recognize 20-8?
I do.
Okay. And tell us what is 20-8?
So these are also Google searches. First of interest to me was subliminal wife training.
And just, I'm sorry, I'm just going to project up on the screen there. These were on what date?
That was November the 17th of 2020.
Okay. And what was the subject matter? What was of evidentiary value to you in terms of these searches?
What I believe this just was a sense of control that Larry had over me. That was the significance to me.
All right, he didn't say which laptop 20.8 pertains to.
I believe you mentioned that you had found this on the MacBook.
That's correct. So this is the MacBook that was located downstairs in the kitchen.
And again, did you determine based on your review of the content who the primary user of that MacBook was?
Yes.
And who was that?
Larry.
And are you familiar with what a subliminal is?
I am.
What is that?
It's essentially providing messages to an individual without them kind of knowing it. And that's what I had seen during the Google searches.
And you're right, he did say it was the MacBook. I just didn't catch it. Been a long day.
It has been a long week. Thank you, though, Your Honor. Did you also assist in a search warrant on October 19th, 2021 at 2413 Sale Los Gatos?
I did.
And did you oversee the seizure of several items of potential evidence on that day?
I did.
I'm going to direct your attention to Court Exhibit 21, which I think should be the next in order in the binder, and ask you, starting with 21-1, do you recognize what's in that exhibit?
I do.
What is that?
This is May's passport.
Projecting up on the screen, 21-1, is that the same exhibit that you see in the binder?
That is correct.
So where was this found?
That was located on the dining room table.
And is this an active passport?
No, it was expired. Expired November the 29th, 2020.
Okay, thank you. Looking at 21-2 and 21-3, can you tell us what is in those two exhibits?
Yes, these are handwritten letters. I presume this was written by Larry. Written to May. These were actually located at the residence on top of a dresser inside a spare bedroom, which was located on the upper level of the residence.
And were you familiar with the term mahal being a term of affection that the two of them used?
Yeah, I had seen that pretty frequently.
And based on the content, did you also, based on the content, determine it to have been written by Larry?
Yes.
And I'm just going to ask you, 21-2 up on the screen, is that the same exhibit in front of you on the binder?
It is.
And if you could, again, slowly read this letter for us.
If I can just remove it to improve the light. So Maya, as much as I want us to be together, my goal with this letter is not to change your mind, but to hope to say some things that will help your heart, or to help heal your heart. I know that I've heard you and you deserve a lot of understanding. I did whatever I wanted and barely thought to what you wanted every day. You'd come home and take care of the kids while I was doing my own thing, thinking I was doing good, with good intentions. For years you begged me for help, but I just offended myself and ignored you. How dreadful that must have been for you. I'm supposed to be protecting you, but instead became the biggest threat to your sanity. I've reflected a lot and realized that all those times you've tried to share your heart with me, I would just shut you down, like you were attacking me or starting an argument. You thought that your heart would be safe with me, so you gave me your all. But I left you feeling neglected and insignificant. The dominating way I treated you and condescending way I spoke to you must have felt suffocating. You deserve to feel free, loved, and taken care of, and not controlled or intimidated. You suffered my jealousy, not because I didn't trust you, but because I am insecure.
The letter continues then on 21-3.
I've always felt confident, but my jealousy actually shows that I've always been afraid to lose you, so I became controlling without realizing it. And I regret that you feel so suffocated. I regret all the missed opportunities to treat you like a treasured gift from God. I'm not surprised that you want to keep your heart from me when I haven't kept it safe. I know I haven't been safe in the past, but I do want you to know that I am safe now. Please know if you ever need someone to listen to your heart and share your pain with, I am here for you. I know I can be the man you want me to be. I want to be that man you once loved and adored. I am here and will always be in love with you. Happy anniversary. Loving you always, Mahal.
And you said that was located on the dresser in the upstairs spare bedroom?
That's correct.
Looking at 21-4, you recognize what that is?
Yes, I do.
Is that the same exhibit that's depicted up on the screen?
It is.
And where was this located?
That was located on a desk inside Lars' bedroom.
Showing you 21-5, you recognize what this is a photograph of.
I do.
What is this?
Those are spell books that we located in the downstairs closet where the safe is located.
In the safe or in the closet?
Those are actually located on a shelf inside that closet where the safe is located, but not within the safe.
Looking at 21-6, can you tell us what we're looking at in this photograph?
Yeah, those are work identification cards that were located inside Maya's Louis Vuitton purse, which were located on a shelf inside her master bedroom.
Looking at 21-7, what do you recognize this to be two photographs of?
Those are multiple debit cards located also in a Louis Vuitton purse that were located on a shelf inside the master bedroom.
Debit cards or credit cards?
Looks like credit cards.
And did you examine each of these to determine whether or not they were expired?
I did.
Okay, can we start with the one at the top, the red one? And you have you have a report that documented each of these?
I do.
Okay, would it refresh your memory to the link that report?
It would.
What's he going to tell us regarding
The expiration date,
okay.
whether or not they're valid?
Were there any that were expired?
Some of them were expired, some of them were, in fact, still good.
Was the red, it looks like Navy Federal check card, was that one valid?
That one expired in 2014.
That looks like a blue Visa kind of to the left of the photograph. And what about that one?
That one was current till December of 2023.
The gray City Visa in the left lower corner, what about that one?
That one was expired in 2019.
The darker blue Visa City on the lower right corner, what about that one?
That one was current till 2024.
And what about this Hawaiian Airlines credit card ending 8302?
That one was also current till 2024.
Looking at 21-8, what is this a photograph of?
It looks like a service receipt for one of the Millete's vehicles, specifically the Lexus. It looks like it's a GX 460.
And that's the Lexus license plate Meilani?
Correct.
And is that the Lexus that you learned through the investigation to belong to Larry and May Millete?
That's correct.
And this had a service date of 12/17/2020?
Correct.
And then circled in red, did it indicate the mileage on the date of that service?
It did. 69,255. That's the mileage of the vehicle coming into the shop. And then at the kind of in the middle towards the right, 69,257 miles is when the vehicle would have been checked out. So after the service was concluded and given back to the Milletes.
Thank you. And 21-9, tell us what this is a photograph of. And to be clear, there's two photographs, one on the left, here in a suitcase, and then one on the right, a close-up of the luggage tag.
Correct. This is a piece of luggage that we located in the downstairs living room. That is a representation of the piece of luggage, and then the photo to the right is going to be essentially the handle and then the ID tag that was attached to that piece of luggage.
Did you open that piece of luggage?
Yes.
And what did you find inside?
We found multiple warm, seasoned, cold seasoned items. So sweaters, beanies, stuff for like the winter climate.
Showing you 21-10. There's 4 photos on this slide. Are these a few photos of some of the items you found inside that suitcase?
Correct.
And just to be clear, the exhibits I've been projecting up on the screen are the same exhibits that you see in front of you on the binder.
That is correct.
And then 21-11, there's 3 photos in this exhibit. Tell us what we see up in the upper left corner of the exhibit.
So this is a photo of the Millete's backyard, so kind of like the patio area, specifically the chimney that's in the corner.
And what about on on October 19th, 2021, was there anything of significance inside the fireplace?
Yes, from what I believe was a credit card. That's actually going to be a photo of it in the middle towards the bottom that had been burnt beyond recognition.
And what about on the right side?
Those are just multiple other items that we located inside that chimney as well. Those items were with the credit card.
And again, these were items found on October 19th, 2021.
Correct.
Great. Thank you. There's time. Oh, yes?
Yes, well, those items, what did those multiple items that were burned appear to be to you in courts 2111?
To me,
The number 2 evidence.
so to me, it appeared that it was some type of a letter, so some type of an envelope that contained a credit card that was ultimately burned. Did not know specifically what credit card it was or who it was addressed to, who it belonged to.
The letter didn't help you tie it in with the card.
No.
Did you think the letter was associated with the card?
Potentially, yes. There was multiple items inside that chimney. I couldn't tell you for sure if they were in fact related.
And you're saying the card was so burnt that you couldn't obtain any information from it?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no other questions, please.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, officer.
Good afternoon.
When you searched the Millete residence, was that on January 23, 2021, starting in the morning?
It was January the 23rd. I couldn't tell you what time we started the search warrant without reflecting to my report.
Do you mind?
Sure. No, so it would not have happened in the morning. This would have occurred at 6 p.m. That was the time that the search warrant was initiated.
And what time did you conclude the search?
I can look at my report. Since I was not the scene agent on that, I could not provide you an accurate time because that is not my responsibility for that search.
That when you left the scene, where did you go as a team? Did you leave the scene together, or did other detectives and what have you remained?
What is the relevance of this?
Yeah, I just wanted to know the limitation or scope of what he in fact searched. I want to ask him if he searched the attic.
Okay, well then ask them if you searched the attic. I don't know what time you got there and left. I don't see relevance. So,
Detective, did you search the attic?
No, I did not.
why not?
There's multiple areas to search within that residence. I was busy searching something else. I believe on that date, I was actually responsible for transporting the Lexus back to our police station.
Before you transported the Lexus to your station, Did you examine the Lexus thoroughly?
No, it wouldn't have happened until back at the station.
What time did you arrive at the station with the Lexus?
This would be an approximate, if we execute the search warrant at 6 p.m., approximately 7 or 8. I'd imagine. I couldn't tell you for sure.
So after you transported the Lexus to the station, did you go back to the Millete residence?
I did.
And when you returned, what did you do next?
Assist with searching the residence.
Okay. So do you recall searching the garage?
I did.
Did you recall seeing a ladder in the garage?
I believe so.
Did you search Miss Millete's luggages in the residence?
I may have, but nothing of significance comes to mind right now in regards to the initial search warrant.
What, if any, stood up that attracted your attention that had any evidentiary value?
Objection of date.
Yes, it is. You're talking about the January 23rd search, and that's the date where they took all those photographs. So you should be more specific.
Okay. During the search of January 23, 2021, at around 6 p.m. or so, did anything in the residence became obvious to you that had some evidentiary value in your search?
Obvious to what regard? What do you specifically what?
You were there because pursuant a search warrant, and that there is some suspicion that a crime may have occurred, right?
Correct.
And you knew that there were some suspicious activities in that residence according to the Chula Vista police officers, correct?
Correct.
So did anything stand out or was obvious to you that would support that suspicion a crime was committed in the residence?
The one thing that stands out in my mind was the hole that was in the master bedroom door that had since been patched. I thought that was definitely of significance. Did not appear to be an accidental hole, more of an intentional damage to the door, specifically the master bedroom. I thought that was pretty significant.
And at that time, when you saw that hole, how many holes were there in that door?
I believe there's just one large hole.
Was that large hole patched or unpatched when you saw it?
It was patched.
Did you determine whether the patching was old or new?
I did not do any type of processing on it.
So was the door completely fixed?
The door was fixed, although the patch job wasn't that nice. It was, wasn't sanded. It was definitely, something that somebody had patched, not trying to make it look anything nice, just kind of fixing the problem.
No holes whatsoever.
Would it, I could put up a picture that we have from.
Sure,
That would help.
let's do that. And tell me what you see. Please.
This is 2-22.
Viewing that photograph,
Sorry,
I put them.
Sorry, Your Honor, I was concerned about the camera. And
Yeah.
Your Honor, the children's photograph is shown.
Well, the media's not covering it now, and it was an inadvertent slip up, just for a second. And actually, we don't have to put it up.
We
This is
don't,
my-
I just-
my folder, and he's got a copy, she's got a copy, I've got
Yeah, I
a
have a
copy,
copy.
so,
it's fine.
anyway, okay.
Can you determine how many holes was there before a patch up was done?
Could there be multiple holes in that one kind of circumference? Possibly, but I couldn't tell you for sure.
Did you at a later date discover the reasons how the holes were in fact made in that door?
No, I.
Also speculation. Beyond the scope.
Overruled his answer.
What was the reason for you checking for the Uber deliveries to the Millete residence?
To see if there was a possibility that May had left the residence not in one of her vehicles, but had gotten picked up by somebody.
And that would be Uber.
That is correct.
How about FedEx?
I'm sorry?
FedEx,
What about,
would that be a possibility also? That perhaps she was picked up by FedEx truck?
What do you mean by that? As a passenger in a package? What do you mean by FedEx?
Well, it would be the same thing with Uber. Would she be in a package?
Well, Uber's design is as a passenger. FedEx's design is as a package. So I'm kind of confused with your question.
so rephrase your question,
Let me rephrase.
and yes, FedEx does not transport people. FedEx will transport a package. If you want to ask him if there were any packages delivered or
That was
or sent from that location, and I think you have to take your FedEx package in.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask him, if there were any, if he investigated whether there were big boxes or any structure that needed to be picked up by a truck.
Okay,
Did
please give him a time frame.
during the time you were investigating the disappearance of Ms. Millete, did you have an opportunity to check other truck vehicles that could have picked up a box? Or
I didn't.
you didn't?
I did not contact any other businesses.
You discussed the credit cards from the NFCU. Did you receive any statements in addition to the cards? Or did you see any NFCU statements in the house when you were searching?
I do not recall that, no.
So you would not have any knowledge whether Ms. Millete used her NFCU credit card?
Objection beyond the scope of this witness testimony, not its foundation.
Sustained, doesn't appear. You didn't do any financial records investigations, did you?
I contacted a representative with the Navy Federal Credit Union, but I did not actually get any type of bank statements. It was merely trying to figure out if her debit card or credit card had been utilized during that initial onset of when she went missing. And I was told that that card had not been used, and the only use that was on that card were automatic drafts for memberships that she had had, but not a physical swipe.
When they told you it hadn't been, that the credit card was not used, what dates did they give you exactly? Was it 30 days, 60 days?
So it would have been within that few days, but I can give you the exact dates if you'd like.
Did you follow up after those dates were given to you? Did you call NFCU again to follow up if there were any charges, aside from the automatic charges?
So I contacted the representative 3 total times and was told during each phone call that there were only automatic drafts and no physical debits or swipes with the card during that time frame.
So which exactly the time frame during those 3 inquiries to NFCU?
Sure. So on November the 12th, contacted the representative and was informed that the day prior that there was an automatic debit on the card for C-Rolled. Again, I contacted them the following day, which would have been on the 13th,
The year?
2021. And was informed again that there were only automatic payments posted on that card. And then I contacted them the 3rd time, the last time on the 21st, so January the 21st, 2021, and was told again that there were only automatic payments that were posted to the account, no physical swipes.
Would that actually be January 21, 2022?
No, 2021. So it would have been the same month. Yeah. So once.
The third time was when? Let's get that straight.
So the 3rd time was January the 22nd. I'm sorry, January the 21st, 2021.
So is it accurate to say after January 21st, 2021, there were no other follow-ups calls to NFCU to verify the usage of that credit card?
I did not personally make any other additional phone calls.
Let's have those 3 dates again.
Sure.
Full dates.
So the first was January the 13th, or I apologize, January the 12th, 2021. Second one was January the 13th, 2021. And then the last one would have been January the 21st, 2021.
Thank you.
So you didn't inquire about the year 2020, right?
2020?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Oh,
Now let me ask you about the Campo checkpoint. You recall your earlier statements about that?
I do.
Do you recall the vehicle that was used by Ms. Millete during the Campo checkpoint incident?
Do I recall which vehicle went through the checkpoint?
Yes, that Ms. Millete was driving.
Yes,
What vehicle?
the Jeep Wrangler.
Was there any passengers with her in the Jeep Rubicon?
Objection, what's her speculation?
Any sort of overview?
I don't know.
Well, yes.
I don't know if that's noted or not by the individuals at the checkpoint. I don't know if she was driving. objection, or can you shed some light on it?
My objection is it calls for speculation. The photograph is very dark. The checkpoint information provided says it's undetermined. My objection is lack of foundation.
But what is undetermined?
The number of passengers. The photograph is dark. It is you cannot see into the vehicle. My objection is lack of foundation and speculation on this detective's part that he would be able to know whether or not there were any passengers inside the Jeep.
Can he even tell if it was her driving?
I think he probably could.
Right. Let's backtrack then. Okay, so is it one of our exhibits?
No.
Right, so tell me about this photo. In this photo, you believe from the Campbell checkpoint, you believe that you can identify May as the driver.
I believe you can see a female sitting in the driver's seat. I don't remember actually being able to see the face based on the direction or the angle, but it did appear to be a female.
And could you see anyone else in the vehicle?
No.
Did you see the license plate on that vehicle?
I don't recall, but those license plate readers are based off of reading the license plate.
You mentioned about the Miss Millete and her family was coming back from Glamis. Would that be the New Year's trip to Glamis in 2021?
I believe so.
And so that would be January the 4th that they were, I believe they came back on January 3rd, 2021 from Glamis. Is that correct? January the 3rd, 2021.
I couldn't tell you the exact date. I was not in charge of that, but I believe that was stated originally. That on the LPR hits of them going through the Campbell border, it registers as January the 4th, although that's Eastern Standard Time. So they would have actually come back on the 3rd, but I couldn't tell you the exact date that they were reportedly coming back. I didn't have that conversation.
Could you tell the exact time that they were at the Campbell point?
I couldn't.
Did you find any other handwriting letters that was authored by May Millete when you did your search at their home on January 23, 2021?
There were other letters. If I can check the dates.
You know,
Object beyond the scope.
yes, I'm going to sustain it beyond the scope of objection, and it appears to be it's for discovery purposes. It's about time to wrap up. Do you have any more questions for this witness?
Oh, well, Your Honor, I just wanted to clarify certain things and this handwritten notes.
The answer is yes. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right then. Well, he's coming back Monday morning, or do you want to call him out of order a little bit later?
Perhaps if I could make those arrangements I think probably preferably it would be the afternoon.
That's correct.
To resume cross-examination, if that is agreeable to counsel.
Yes. And the reason why we're doing this is
Yes, he works
State.
graveyards, and it's just for his own health, well-being, safety, that he be allowed to testify in the afternoon, given his schedule.
right. And I was thinking maybe we'd be wrapping up Monday morning. I don't know. So then still perhaps
I
he
don't
can come
see
first
that.
thing at 1. Oh, you don't see us wrapping up Monday. Okay, all right, that's a question.
Yeah, I don't, and unfortunately not at this rate, but
Then we're going to recess. Sir, you're ordered back, and you can be in contact with the DA's office as to the time that you'll come back. We'll try and accommodate your schedule so that you are wide and awake when you're doing your midnight duties.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend. Okay. We're in recess.